morning and welcome to Burr News and Views. I'm your host, Don Burgess, and it's a great day outside. If you get a chance, maybe eat your lunch outside and enjoy the sun. Today, our guest is Denton Williams. He's the Chief Executive of the Regulatory Authority of Bermuda, and he is here today to discuss the consultation on radiofrequency and 5G safety. Welcome, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Don. Good morning to you and good morning to Bermuda.
Now, before we get started into the consultation period, the terms 4G and 5G, they're bandied about quite a bit. What exactly does 5G and 4G mean?
They refer to the different standards and of each generation of mobile technology. So 4G is what you will usually see on your phone that says LTE, usually in the top of usually right-hand corner of your phone. And 5G is the next iteration of it. So there was a preceding 3G as well and 2G, etc. 1G was the first generation of cell phones.
Okay. So what are the advantages of 5G over 4G?
The biggest advantage is speed of data throughput, and the second one is the speed, or I should say responsiveness and time, how rapidly the network can respond to a request.
Anything else other tan that?
There's the major differences in terms of consumer benefits and also for businesses, but the specifics of the technology itself, it's deployed a little differently. Some of it uses the same spectrum that 4G uses today, but there are some new higher throughput parts of it that are also available. I had to stress that there are no 5G systems deployed in Bermuda at this time. There's a moratorium in place, and it's actually illegal to deploy it until the RA decides otherwise.
Right. Why is somebody trying to deploy it right now, or is there a rumor that it is? No, okay.
No one's trying to deploy, but out of an abundance of caution, we've made sure that no one could deploy it. Because the way we operate our regulatory regime, we license you and we allow you to do what you're allowed and permitted to do. So we're not monitoring you to prevent that unless it's a prohibited activity.
Now, what happens to the 4G phones if 5G is adopted?
Nothing. Largely, they will continue to operate as they do today, but eventually, just like older technologies, they will become obsolete at some point.
Okay, so nobody has to worry about if 5G is taken on, their phone will stop working in 3 months or whatever.
No, the phones will continue to work. When 4G gets retired, eventually becomes more of an economic decision for the telecoms operators when they decide that they no longer wish to invest in that technology. They want to change to something else. Then that's when I think you'll start to see the fall off of that. I mean, to be clear, the 3G is still in service today.
Okay. Now, not to skirt around the issue at all, but there are some controversies surrounding 5G. Last year, there were 180 scientists from 36 different countries who requested or petitioned the EU to do more study on health and safety concerns. And in the UK, there have been more than 60 cases where there were arson attacks on 5G masts because of concerns that 5G spreads COVID. Is 5G safe?
Well, that's actually what this consultation is about. Our consultation opened on the 23rd of October and was originally scheduled to close on the 23rd of November. And we understand that through social media and various other media channels, there were concerns about the duration or informal, I would say, request, because no formal request had been made to the RA for an extension. So that has been considered, and the RA has extended the consultation period to close on December 7th.
Okay.
So that's, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, for people who have concerns, how can they have those addressed, or how can they get some feedback?
I would strongly encourage everyone to go to www.ra.bm, and you can give a written submission by December 7th. All the instructions are right there on the website. And we also are going to have a virtual event, which is an information gathering session where members of the public can contribute directly on the 19th of November. But please subscribe by no later than the 16th. And if you want a speaking slot, they are very limited and they're on a first come, first served basis. So those are the two channels that people can use to get information to us. We have some specific questions that we ask in our consultation, and we ask that people try to respond to those because they are very helpful for us figuring out the best way forward. But we certainly will give consideration to any other information that's provided to us.
Now, I was on the website this morning. You guys have always made it really easy. You go on the page, the consultation information is right there for people to click the right link to have their feedback.
Thank you. And that was actually a suggestion from the public that we put a big button right on the front page to make it easy for people.
Right. Now, Marion Jones has asked, or made a statement actually, she says 5G isn't safe. Many countries have halted, regulated, or rejected, and that's not true. I don't even know what she's got a misspelling up there. Made a formal request to extend the consultation. Oh, BAS. She said BAS. I don't know what that stands for. Have made a formal request to extend the consultation.
We had a request in a previous consultation. This was a licensing consultation, and we had advised it was a licensing consultation. And that we would also have a dedicated consultation to deal with these concerns regarding 5G, which is this one. So we have given ample time. This is actually additional time in and of itself. We had planned to do a consultation on this last year. It was in our work plan. And then when we went through our licensing consultation, we got concerns brought to our attention about 5G specifically. And we said that we will have a consultation on that matter, and that's where we are today.
Okay, thank you. And Marion says BAS stands for Media Advocate for Safe Tech. Made a formal request to extend the consultation.
Well, I'm not going to debate it. I don't know where that request went, but I never saw it. We didn't see it.
Okay. Christina Frith also has a concern. She had no consultation about 5G was even on the table, and how can people give feedback and what's happening? Are you going to help educate the public about the difference between 5 gigahertz and 5th generation small cell microwave radiation?
Yes, that's on our website, and we're certainly willing to give feedback, but the consultation period is meant to solicit input at this stage. The next stage is where we give our preliminary report, where we've assessed it, the information, and given our initial views based on the input that we've received and our own assessments. We also have convened an advisory panel that is going to assist the RA with making this decision, and they will be the ones that are going to, in the first instance, look at the responses that are coming in and giving advice to the RA. But the RA will ultimately, the Board of Commissioners of the RA will ultimately make the decision whether we move forward with this or not, and if we do, how will we move forward?
Okay. Now, I'm going to get to Renee's question in a moment here, but you mentioned people on the panel. Who are some of the people on the panel, and what are their expertise?
I have a number of them. It's an international panel. We have some local participants as well. We have former MP Glenn Blakeney. We have Dr. Jeffrey Hurd from MIT. We have Dr. Rodney Croft from the University of Wollongong in Australia. We have Dr. Rafat Mansour from University of Waterloo in Canada. We have Jamie Thien, who's worked in Bermuda and in Canada in the telecom sector. And we have Dr. Karika Weldon, who I'm sure most people are familiar with from her work on the helping us manage the COVID-19 crisis.
Right, and so Dr. Weldon will be there to help maybe address health concerns, or what's her role?
Well, they decide their role, so they actually have autonomy to pursue this as they see fit. So we haven't assigned a role to any particular person. It's for them to decide with their own expertise, because they're professionals that have to maintain their credentials as well. So they can't, if they want to maintain the credentials, do things that are irresponsible. So they will have to decide amongst themselves, as an example, who will be the chairperson for the panel. But they have the autonomy to do that.
Renee, I don't know if this is true. She posted the Netherlands have rejected 5G due to health concerns. And besides Netherlands, is there any other countries that have rejected it or postponed it at this point?
Actually, that's not my understanding. My understanding is that the equivalent of the Supreme Court of the Netherlands has said that it can proceed.
Okay. Marion asks, was it? Oh, not Marion. Debbie Jackson says, why do we need 5G? Is there demand or only a business case for private enterprise and profit?
This actually leads into a bigger perspective. The legislation for the RA specifically requires the RA to support development, economic development, and innovation. So the legislation inclines us to move forward, but we're not going to do it recklessly. So 5G, if you look at it just like 2G, 3G, 4G, is another evolution of cell phone or mobile wireless technology, or even fixed wireless in some cases, is the next step of it. Ultimately, the previous technology will become obsolete. Those phones won't be available. The service providers won't provide service. And without prejudicing any future decisions, the RA has an obligation to make sure Bermuda can keep pace with other jurisdictions. There could be tremendous economic damage to Bermuda if business people come to Bermuda and then their phones don't work. Bermuda will become less attractive as a competitive jurisdiction. So it's not about necessarily the money. It's definitely about making sure whatever we do is safe and done in a balanced and reasonable perspective.
Yeah. Sean Soares posted, kind of in response to some of the comments on the side there, she said, and just to echo what you said, technology involves, Bermuda needs to keep up to stay competitive.
It's absolutely true. You see this on multiple fronts. You see it on taxation. You see it on international regulation. You see it in law enforcement. It's the same in telecommunications and electricity as well. So yes, Bermuda does continue to need to keep pace and be competitive. I mean, that is our advantage, is to be agile and nimble.
What countries have adopted 5G so far?
Certainly the major ones are China, UK, US. Canada is in the process of auctioning off spectrum for that purpose. So it's rolling out in certainly large jurisdictions at this time. Certainly also in, I believe, some of these other European Union countries are starting to do it.
Right. I know, like in the U.S., sort of a misinformation campaign was waged by RT America. For people who don't understand what RT stands for, is Russia Today.
Russia Times. Yeah.
So trying to stir things up. We talked briefly a bit about your meeting on Thursday, November 19th. You have 6 panelists. People will be able to give feedback, but they have to be able to have a say at the meeting. How do they go about that process?
Well, we'll outline, we're going to have some rules of the road, so to speak, and we will outline all of that in more detail coming up. We do have some information already online, but it's mainly meant, because this is a consultation, it's meant to be an information gathering session. So we're encouraging people to tell us, and specifically focus on the questions that are in the consultation document and give us information with respect to them. An example, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it right in front of me, but an example is, do we believe the FCC's guidelines for safety radio frequency exposure are appropriate for Bermuda? And if not, then why not? And what's a suitable alternative? So we have very specific questions that we'd like people to give us their views on. And they'll be able to do that in the public meeting if they're able to get a speaking slot, because it's limited due to time, 12:30 to 2. And they'll also be able to do it via a written response to the RA.
Because I know a lot of people have some concerns, so this is a chance for them not only to give a written thing, but they'll have a chance in the live meeting to express their concerns too as well.
Yes, I mean, we certainly will accept other information other than just what we asked for. We want to hear the public's perspectives on the subject. But what we don't want to do is to stray off topic. We want to stay on topic. We want to stay focused. We want to gather information that we can take action upon.
You've said on the consultation for that day, there won't be any questions for the panelists. Why is that?
It's not a town hall. Our normal consultation process, you just send us information and we respond in the preliminary report. This is the virtual equivalent of that. So you give the panelists information and they take it away. The main purpose of this is because we felt it was an important topic, is that we do it in the scrutiny of daylight and show everybody what's happening and what's being discussed. So it's not meant to be a debate, because that phase wouldn't have started. We're still gathering information. The panelists may ask for information to clarify something that they're unsure based on what someone has said or stated. So that may happen, but it's not intended to be I'll ask a question and here's the definitive answer, because frankly the panelists can't give you an answer because they don't make the ultimate decision. The board of commissioners of the RA does. So they can't give definitive answers during that session. It's mainly to hear firsthand what the public has to say, understand the concerns, and then to be able to relay that on to the board of commissioners and to factor it into the decision making.
Right. Now you've got people from all over the world taking part in this as part of the panel: Australia, the U.S., Bermuda, obviously Canada. Why have you assembled an international group to help look at this?
Well, frankly, this is unprecedented. Other regulators haven't done this. They have not allowed the public to weigh in on this matter. And we felt that, we're small, we're Bermuda, we don't have a lot of resources. So let's look to other jurisdictions. Let's look at people that have, in some cases, navigated this already. And then they can give considered thought to the issues and make recommendations. Doesn't mean that the RA will blindly follow them, but the RA will consider them, because we don't have the in-house resources to deal with this particular issue. It's very, very specific in some of the areas of concern. So we needed to have people that, even if they don't have the resources, the direct experience themselves, they readily can get access to the resources and guide us accordingly.
Yeah. Now, I guess like a lot of people are focusing on the health concerns. I mean, you have a family, you have friends. Would you allow this to happen? That would impact them if it was unhealthy?
No, I personally would not do that. It doesn't make sense on the face of it to expose myself and my children, my family, and my loved ones, not to mention all the other people in Bermuda, to something that I believe is harmful. However, we're not saying that we know everything, and we're allowing people to give some input into the process. And that way we can come up with a final decision that moves Bermuda forward one way or the other.
Okay. Now, again, we just want to go over the presentation time one more time. So people want to make it. It's on November 19th?
19th, yes, at 12:30.
12:30, and public have a right to give some feedback until December 7th.
Yes, that's correct. I just want to add a couple other things. So one, I just want to recap real quick.
Okay.
That the December 7th deadline you mentioned is for the written consultation. The 19th is the public meeting at 12:30. All of this information is on our website, www.ra.bm. And we also have a moratorium in place there are no 5G installations in Bermuda currently. Contrary to some things you may have heard, it's not true. We do not have any. The moratorium actually makes it illegal to deploy 5G until the RA has decided otherwise. So there are no 5G installations or services available, and I wanted the public to be aware of that. And we also want the public to give their input. We strongly want to encourage people to support the telecoms workers, because there has been some harassment of them, especially during the lockdown when we actually needed them the most. Telecoms workers were getting harassed while they were trying to deploy services to support the community. So please don't harass the telecoms workers, and also don't vandalize equipment. As you mentioned earlier, in the UK, there have been at least 60 fires or vandalism attempts on telecoms infrastructure because of the concerns regarding this. While it makes it's common sense to not do that, I just want to remind everyone that is illegal too.
Okay. Anything else you want to say before we sign off for today?
Oh, pre-register. Yes, you can pre-register for the online events. So if you wish to participate, go online, you can register. We have, I believe, 1,000 seats available, and we'll also make recordings of the session available to the public on our website. So if you're not able to attend, you can still view it later.
Yeah, and as from personal experience, as I went on the site, it's super easy for anyone, for the public to do it. I was very impressed at how easy it was. It wasn't like I had to click one link to get to another link to get to another link to finally be able to submit something. So I'm sure, I mean, I appreciate it. I'm sure other people who are concerned about this and have some comment and feedback will appreciate it as well. Denton, we very much appreciate having you on here today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you giving us the time to talk to the public about it.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Don Burgess, and on behalf of Burn News and the RA and Denton Williams today, we all wish you a very beautiful day.